Marvel is not messing around because they just announced a new movie coming out after Avengers Secret Wars, the director of the newest X-Men film, plus we finally know when the Batman Part 2 is going to start filming, and so much more crazy news, so let's get into all of this. And we're going to start with the new movie that was added to Marvel's official release calendar because they now have a new film scheduled for December 15th, 2028. Now, in case you're unaware, Avengers Doomsday is December 2026, while Avengers Secret Wars is December 2027. And the film goes on to list the possibilities of what this new movie could be, which are kind of crazy, I'll get to in one second, but it is going to be a crazy year in 2028 because between now and Avengers Secret Wars in 2027, we're only going to see the Fantastic Four First Steps, Spider-Man Brand New Day, then Avengers Doomsday, and maybe one more film in the middle of Doomsday and Secret Wars, and that's it over the next 2 years. But then 2028, they're having 4 new films now with this new December release date. From this Variety article, the movies they say they think are most likely to release in 2028 with 4 slots now, they think Blade actually does have a chance of happening because it's still being developed behind the scenes like it has been for the last 5 years. I still don't believe we're going to see this movie ever until I actually am sitting in the theater watching it though. I think Black Panther 3 is a very likely one for that Christmas release date because obviously Black Panther Wakanda Forever didn't do as well as the first movie, but it's still a very big franchise that Marvel has, and I feel like they want to kind of capitalize around the holiday season with this, especially with the fact that you have Ryan Coogler returning to direct this movie like he did the first 2, and now he's obviously even a bigger household name after the success of Sinners. Denzel Washington's going to be joining the cast, which is a much needed heavy hitter because after tragically losing Chadwick Boseman, this franchise did need some new life put into it. With Ryan Coogler like openly talking about the fact that yeah, this movie's happening and yeah, Denzel's joining the cast, this is like one of the only upcoming Marvel movies that's in production that we actually know is 100% happening, so I do think this is probably the most likely for that December 2028 time slot. But this Variety article also kind of drops a bombshell and says that Marvel is in the early planning stages of a Fantastic Four 2 because apparently they have so much faith in the Fantastic Four First Steps being a big success, and they want these characters to be a big staple in the MCU going forward post Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. Plus you got other little details that people are picking up on, like this post saying that Marvel Studios is reportedly developing a sequel was liked by Pedro Pascal on Instagram here. People are taking this as confirmation. Maybe he's just like, oh yeah, I hope that happens, but still it seems very likely, and I honestly hope it does happen. This is personally what I hope they release at Christmas time over Black Panther 3 because of course this is a very family friendly, like marketable film for the holidays again, and I think importantly we need the MCU to focus on these new pillars. Like think of the early days, you had your Iron Man movies coming out like once every 1 to 2 years, a Captain America solo movie coming out every 2 years, same with Thor. You really got to build a relationship with these characters. Now in the MCU the sequels are so far apart, like 6 years between Doctor Strange movies, we still don't have a Shang-Chi 2 announced, like everything just feels like we get a new solo movie and then never hear from these characters again. So I think they really need to focus in and give us a couple Fantastic Four movies in a short time frame. These haven't been listed in the Variety article as what they think are most likely, but I do think there is a chance that we do see Thor 5 that we've heard reports is now in development in 2028. Maybe not the holiday time slot, but in one of the other 4 slots releasing in 2028. Another movie rumored in development is a Midnight Suns film with Ghost Rider being the lead of the team, which I think would be incredible. This doesn't seem like a Christmas release to me though, and probably is a little bit more farther out. A lot of people were theorizing that, oh, Marvel's maybe doing a Secret Wars Part 2, but I don't think that's what's happening. I think everything's going to be wrapped up with the multiverse in the first Secret Wars movie. Daniel RPK, a very reputable insider, says that Marvel has no plans of doing this. And plus, with them having 3 other 2028 movies before this, it wouldn't make sense to have like 3 movies taking place in between an Avengers Part 1 and 2. But kind of transitioning into my next point, I think another huge possibility for this time slot is the X-Men reboot movie because the Variety article kind of drops a bombshell saying that Jake Schreier will officially direct the X-Men reboot film. Now, we've heard rumors that they were eyeing him before, but Variety's going ahead and saying like, yeah, he is signed on to do this new X-Men movie. And as you can see here, he was the director of Thunderbolts. Was it like the biggest or most bold choice imaginable for an X-Men movie? Are we probably going to get like an absolute masterpiece with him directing it? Probably not. But I think this does give you a good floor that you know it's at least going to be a good movie. He's shown he knows how to work with a team before, and now he gets a lot more notable characters to work with and craft an even bigger story. You got some people on Twitter complaining and making jokes like, oh, is he going to kill off Storm for shock value? Because obviously he kills off a character for shock value in the Thunderbolts movie, which just makes no sense for me. Like, Storm is a way bigger character than the casualty of Thunderbolts. I still don't get why people are mad about that one shocking death in Thunderbolts. Like, who cared about that character? I'm sorry, nobody did. Now, we do have a lot more news to get to, but I quickly want want to ask, how do you think the X-Men are going to be introduced into the MCU? Because now that the movie officially has a director, and we know Kevin Feige, we've heard reports saying that he has a 10-year plan for the X-Men being like the main feature of the Marvel Cinematic Universe going forward. How are they going to introduce these characters in a way that works? Because one of the leading theories is that they're going to be introduced in Avengers Secret Wars, which wouldn't make sense, obviously, if Marvel wants to introduce one of their most famous teams of all time in what's probably going to be like a top 5 highest grossing film ever created. Obviously, you get so much exposure, but I don't know if the X-Men need that. They're very famous characters on their own. And me personally, I'm kind of hoping they're not introduced in Avengers Secret Wars and just get their own new introduction in a solo film as the first time we see them in the MCU, especially since we know the old Fox X-Men team are going to be in Avengers Doomsday and probably Secret Wars. I kind of think these movies should focus more on closing up the past, and then we focus on the new in their new movies after Secret Wars. Now, this is not as important as some of the other stuff we'll get to in this video, but I just had to mention it because Nike officially announced a brand new Fantastic Four collab shoe called the Invisible Woman, which are kind of the most cursed and scuffed shoes I've ever seen in my life. Like, yes, this is real official images. Why this model does not have socks on this, I have no idea. This dude is an absolute menace, though. Tom Hiddleston talked about returning as Loki in Avengers Doomsday, and he said, "It's very exciting. I have loved playing Loki. Loki's been a companion for a long period of my adult life. He's a character of such depth and range and complexity, and it never feels the same experience every time you play him. It always feels new. And this one will be new in its own way. I'm grateful that I'm still on team." That's an interesting one. Does it just mean he's on the team of like being in the Marvel Studios family, or is he actually going to be working with the Avengers here? Are they going to be trying to get to him? We don't know yet. He also did come out and say that he hasn't even started filming for this movie yet, but I'm sure a lot of this movie still hasn't been filmed since they pushed it back to December 2026 still, and they only started filming like very late April. If you missed the news, there's going to be a Deadpool and Batman crossover comic. Well, now we have a first look at Jeff the Landshark and Crypto in a crossover story that is going to be featured in that crossover book. I'm not gonna lie, this kind of feels like the most millennial bait thing you could ever do. Like, it's targeting the same exact people that were absolutely obsessed with Baby Yoda despite never watching The Mandalorian or Star Wars. They was still buying the merch. I feel like this is targeting the same exact audience. Maybe I'm just being a hater though. Before we get to the new Batman Part 2 news, I want to quickly cover this new Superman news from James Gunn, which is just something kind of cool. We have a mini Guardians of the Galaxy reunion in Superman with a Fortress of Solitude robots, because Bradley Cooper, who was obviously Rocket Raccoon in Guardians, Palm Clementif, who was Mantis, and Michael Rooker, who was Yondu, are all confirmed to be voicing these robots in the Superman movie. And obviously James Gunn was the director of Guardians, so that's cool that he brought them over in this capacity. And the script for the Batman Part 2 is finally going to be turned in this month, any given day now. And we know the movie is officially going to begin filming in January. You might be wondering, why did they have the script so soon and are waiting so long to film it? Well, the reason seems to be that Robert Pattinson, who's obviously playing the Batman in the movie, is going to be filming Dune 3, aka Dune Messiah, from like July until presumably January. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot this casting happened. But I'm not gonna lie, if the cost of having to wait until October 2027 for the Batman Part 2 is getting Dune Messiah earlier in December 2026 still, I'll take that any given day of the week. Dune Messiah might be my most anticipated movie of all time. I think Skytal or Skytal, I don't know, I have read Dune Messiah, I still don't know how to pronounce this dude's name. That seems to be the most likely person that Robert Pattinson will be playing, which is just going to be an absolutely insane performance from this dude. A new scene was released from the Fantastic Four first sets revealing a major new villain that's going to be in the movie, plus a new DC Batman villain was just officially cast. If you want to hear about all that stuff, click the video above my head right now, and thank you so much for watching.